I rented the lake house to disappear, to be alone, to forget. It was winter. The water was black and still. The trees were bare, their branches like bones clawing at the gray sky. The house itself sat crooked at the edge of the dock, old wood, peeling paint, windows clouded with decades of dust. Inside, it smelled of dampness and old pine. Floorboards creaked under every step, but I didn't care. Silence was all I wanted. The first night was uneventful. I made a fire, drank whiskey straight from the bottle, listened to the wind hum through the cracks in the walls. Then, sometime after midnight, I heard it. A scream. High-pitched, carried across the frozen water. So faint, I thought it was the wind at first. I stepped outside. The air burned my lungs with cold. The lake was perfectly still. No ripples, no movement. But the scream came again, clearer this time. A woman's voice tearing through the night. "Help me!" My blood ran cold. I scanned the shoreline. Nothing. Just black water and the silhouettes of trees. Another scream. Closer. I grabbed my flashlight and ran to the dock. The beam cut through the mist hovering over the lake. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Who's out there?" No reply. Just the soft lap of water against rotting wood. Then, footsteps. Behind me. Slow. Heavy. I spun around. The beam of the flashlight swept across the shore. Nothing. But the footsteps kept coming. Closer. Crunching leaves. Breathing. "Who's there?" I shouted. Silence. And then, another scream. This time, right behind me. I dropped the flashlight. Its beam spun wildly, illuminating tree trunks and icy ground. The scream turned into laughter. High, shrill, twisting into something inhuman. I ran, back into the house, slamming the door, locking it, heart pounding out of my chest. Through the window, I saw nothing but blackness. But the laughter echoed across the water, circling the house, never stopping. The next morning, everything was quiet. The lake calm, the air still, as if nothing had happened. I convinced myself it was exhaustion, whiskey, isolation. But that night, it happened again. Screams, laughter, footsteps crunching outside my window. I barely slept. On the third night, the knocking started. Slow, deliberate, on the walls. First near the door, then the back window, then under the floorboards. As if something or someone was crawling beneath the house. I sat in the corner, knife in hand, whispering to myself, "Not real, not real, not real." But the knocking grew louder, more frantic, until it was everywhere at once. Walls, ceiling, floor. A chorus of pounding and screams. And then, silence. At dawn, I walked to the water. Frost crunched under my boots. The lake mirrored the pale gray sky. Something bobbed near the dock. A shoe. Small, child-sized. I froze. That's when I saw the hand. Pale, bloated, just beneath the surface, tangled in reeds. I stumbled back, slipping on the icy planks. My scream echoed across the lake, the same scream I had heard nights before. When I looked again, the hand was gone. The sheriff came, checked the water. Nothing. No shoe, no hand, no body. He said it was probably driftwood, said isolation messes with the mind. But I know what I saw, what I heard. I left that same day, never went back. And sometimes, late at night, when I close my eyes, I still hear them. The screams, the laughter, circling, waiting. I first heard about the lights from the locals. They warned me, told me the lake was cursed. I laughed, didn't believe them. I should have listened. The lake house was perfect on paper. Quiet, isolated, surrounded by pine forest, a place to write, to breathe. But the first night, something felt wrong. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, oppressive, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. I stayed up late staring out at the water. The moonlight turned the lake into black glass, still, unbroken. Then, a glow, soft, blue, moving just beneath the surface. At first, I thought it was moonlight, reflection, but it pulsed like a heartbeat, closer, brighter, until I could see shapes, figures, dozens of them standing beneath the water, unmoving, facing the house. I stumbled back from the window, heart pounding, eyes watering. When I looked again, they were gone. No ripples, no bubbles, only silence. I barely slept. The next night, the lights came back, brighter, closer. I went outside, barefoot, the cold biting at my skin. The lake hummed, a low vibration deep in my chest. The light swirled beneath the ice, forming patterns, symbols. Then, faces, pale, distorted, mouths opening in silent screams. I stumbled back, slipping on the frozen dock. And that's when I heard them. Whispers. Dozens of voices rising from the water, layered, overlapping. My name. They were saying my name. By the third night, I was unraveling. I covered the windows, stuffed towels under the door, tried to ignore the hum, the glow seeping through cracks in the walls. But sleep wouldn't come, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, standing in the dark water, waiting. On the fourth night, the ice broke. I woke to the sound of cracking, splintering, a deep, resonant echo through the floorboards. I ran outside. The dock was gone. The lake was boiling with light. Shapes rising from the depths. Hands reaching out of the black water. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. And then I saw her. A woman, pale as moonlight. Hair floating around her face like seaweed. She was smiling, not kindly, hungry. The whispers grew louder, chanting, calling me into the water. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The glow swallowed everything. My skin burned with cold and heat all at once. I felt their hands on me, pulling, grabbing, dragging me toward the edge. And then, silence. I woke up at dawn, lying on the shore, clothes soaked, skin numb. The dock was intact, the lake still, the water black. No lights, no figures, just me. I left the next morning, didn't pack, didn't look back. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see them. Pale faces beneath the water, mouths opening, whispering my name. I didn't want to go back to the lake, not after what happened last summer. But my brother insisted, said we needed closure, said we couldn't let fear win. So I went. The lake house hadn't changed. Same peeling paint, same leaning dock, same smell of damp wood and mildew. But something felt different, as if it knew we were coming back. We arrived at dusk. The sky was bruised purple, the lake black and still. I carried our bags inside. The floor groaned under every step. The air was cold, even with the fire lit. And the windows, they felt wrong, like eyes, watching. That first night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it, a presence, standing in the doorway, breathing, waiting. Morning didn't help. The house looked worse in daylight. Rot in the walls, claw marks on the floorboards. Not animal, not human either. Deep, erratic, like something had been dragged. We tried to make the best of it, fishing, cooking, pretending nothing was wrong. But the silence was unbearable. Even the birds wouldn't sing. Even the wind wouldn't blow. It was like the world was holding its breath. The second night, things changed. I woke to knocking, soft, rhythmic. Not at the door, inside the walls. I froze, held my breath. The knocking moved, slowly, around the room, up the walls, across the ceiling. Then, a whisper, right next to my ear. "Go home." I screamed. My brother burst in, but when he turned on the light, nothing, just me, shaking, sweating. The third night, we both heard it. Footsteps, pacing above us, but there was no upstairs. Then the windows started rattling, the doors, the floorboards, every part of the house vibrating. And in the middle of it all, laughter, low, mocking, coming from the walls themselves. We ran outside, into the freezing night air. The lake was perfectly still, but the house was breathing. Its windows fogged, its boards expanding and contracting like lungs. And in the reflection of the water, we saw it, a face, pressed against the glass from the inside, smiling. We didn't go back in. We ran, through the woods, down the dirt road, didn't stop until we reached the highway. The next morning, we returned with police. The house was empty. No footprints, no signs of struggle. But the claw marks were gone. The rot was gone. It looked new, like it had never been touched. We left for good. But sometimes, when I see still water or hear silence too deep, I remember that face, watching, waiting, smiling.